All right, guys, here we are. This is another one. This is part 4. We're looking at Kann part 4. 4 parts. This is the exchange variation. Exchange Kann. Let's go. Let's go. We did skip a chapter, of course, as the chat is pointing out, part 5. Yes, it says part 5, but we are on part 4 or chapter 4, or we would say part 4, because we did skip the 2 nights Kann, because part 5 is going to be the fantasy variation, because people really want to see that one. So make sure you guys get the book if you're watching from YouTube. Make sure you have that in your description, or you get it out of the description so you can have it, right? Of course, Twitch say hi to YouTube. YouTube say hi to Twitch. There it is. Hands are already in the chat, like, hi, YouTube, right? So that's how I go. You know what I mean? So what's up, guys? What's good? So most people play 2 nights in sub 1000 versus me, it seems, says J-Dub. Big fella, what up? What's good, guys? All right, so chat, yeah, this is for YouTube. So here we go. We're looking at the exchange variation. We're looking at this from Black's point of view. All right, what is it? E4, C6, D4, D5. This is Kann moves, as we looked at already. We're on part 4. You already know how this go. E takes D5 from white, and C takes. Now, sometimes this becomes a drawish type thing, but in fact, it's definitely not drawish. I remember playing this from the white side. Bobby Fischer was a fan of this. There's a famous game Bobby Fischer played against Petrosian where he beat him with the queen on B1 and all that stuff. You can look it up. This is exactly a fire game from both sides, in fact, right? Let's see what this says. We're going to quickly look at a quick early alternative, and then we're going to look at a quick queen B3, and then we're going to get out of here on this because we can't do all of this. So, all right, here we go. Let's look at this from the beginning and see what it says. E4, C6, D4, D5, C takes, and or E takes and C takes, right? So let's see what this says here. Modern theory teaches us one thing: the extensive work that is required to play the main line serves as a deterrent for many players, who then seek refuge in more uncommon variations, where it is easier to find positions that are playable without memorizing hundreds of moves. A typical example of this approach, which has been championed by Magnus Carlsen over the years, is the London Opening. However, the resurgence of the London is not only due to the surprise factor, it is also the result of general willingness to play a structure that essentially mirrors the Carlsbad structure. If I was you, I would take some time and go look that up if you don't know what the Carlsbad structure is. In fact, we will do something on this. We'll probably do a series on pawn structures or something. That's actually pretty fire. In fact, make sure somebody send me a Discord message and say pawn structures, please, and I'll know exactly what you're talking about, because we need to do that. That's not talked about a lot. But the Carlsbad structure, so you can understand what to use it, how to play it, etc. Right. But of course, that's what you get a lot in the Kann. The pawn structure is GPS of the game, learning where you can go. So if you can read the pawn structure, then you know what the plan is. And that's what this is really talking about here. We're going to stop with the reading part. You guys can read, obviously, the rest of it here. Of course, even here, if you can stop the video and obviously watch it and read it right here. But you can read the rest of this. But that part about the Carlsbad is 100% important. If you know that it's a Carlsbad structure, then you understand, okay, maybe I need to go for minority attack. Which side of the Carlsbad structure am I playing on, and etc. And then you should know your plan. Here we go. After D5, bishop to D3. Very critical moment. This bishop actually always goes here. White follows usually a bishop's first strategy. Bishop D3, bishop F4, and then you play C3. And they try to be, it's almost like a London. In fact, what's funny is this position right here can actually resemble a London system many times. There are many Londons that happen from the Kann exchanges. So there's a resemblance, especially for the London players for white. All right, after knight F6, which is a very natural move here, you could also play knight C6. Says this one is not as popular as knight C6, but of course, playable. I like the knight F6 move as well. C3, very solid structure. Nothing going on. Watch the development. It's pretty simple. Bishop G4. This is a cool move. What does it say? Black develops his bishop on a sought after square, and he is now ready to continue his development with pawn E6. Let's just make a random move. He's going to play pawn E6, knight to C6, bishop to D6. That's the plan. That's the plan. Okay, we'll go back. Bishop to G4. So after the bishop G4 move, knight F3. This is an alternative. That's what we're looking at right now. It's just a small alternative. We're going to look at knight F3, because this is a move that could definitely happen in your games. They're going to try to block with the knight and putting himself in the self pin. What you will follow up with is knight to C6, which this is the standard move anyway that you usually play unless they bring the queen out to B3. Then you need to defend the pawn on B7 via D7 or C8. Let's see what happens after knight to c6. Bishop f4, getting the bishops out, just developing. As you see what this isn't complicated, and the Caro-Kann is not supposed to be complicated. It is a very simple but solid opening, and as you see, black is actually very simple and solid. Moves are very easy to play. What do you think the next move for black would be? If you look at this, look how easy this would be. It would be e6, right? e6, pawn e6. That's the next move. e6 played. Black is ready to trade the dark square bishops on d6, bishop d6. The f4 bishop is white's best piece, and it controls the important e5 square. So he wants to trade it off. h3, very, very logical move. Hits the bishop. It's annoying. You know they're going to play this. What do? Do we trade? Let's see. Bishop h5, backs up, no trading. Knight b to d2, developing. Thanks for the 200 bits, black and blue. Appreciate it. And then bishop to d6. So remember, we're following the plan. We develop, we get the pieces out, capture, capture, castle, castle. Look how easy this is. We didn't do anything crazy, nothing tactical, especially for people that maybe have problems with tactics or don't like as much wild and tactical stuff. That's totally fine. But here, this is very simple when you got a great position as black already. Also, you can use the engine, stockfish at any time. And you can see what the evaluation thinks of this position. As you see, it's super equal. I mean, not even 0.3, right? Not even 0.5, which even that's super equal, right? But okay, let's see what's next. Rook e1 and rook a to b8. You had many moves to make here. Why rook a to b8? Let's see. If h3 and bishop h5 were not included in this position, black could play knight e7. So removing the knight, putting it on e7, and playing bishop to f5. As we will see in the main line. Here, however, we should be slightly more precise. Okay. Rook a to b8. What this move is very simple. We're going to play b5. That's what it looks like we're going to do. Minority attack. There we go. Ivan in the chat says minority attack. 100%. We're going to go for the minority attack. What does that mean? We're going to talk about that in some pawn structure series stuff that we'll do for YouTube. But minority. As you see, there's 4 pawns over here versus 2. The minority. In fact, I mean, it's really 3. So we're not really doing anything with this one, but these 2 against these 3. So the minority attack, and you start to make weaknesses, and you start to be annoying. All right, okay, here we go. So after rook a to b8, we have a4. a4, knight to d7, rerouting the knight. Black prevents knight e5. And if you want to think about this, like, I know this from the white side. White loves to put a knight on e5. If I'm playing white, let me flip the board here, and I'm just tell you what I do. I'm trying to mate you. All the time. Shout out to Grandfather Tao, Uncle Nesmedinov. I'm trying to mate you every game, right? So knight e5, if I get this knight to e5, it's a wrap, right? And I mean, it's not a wrap, but I'm just g4, knight e5. I'm just trying to mate you. Space, push everything forward, go for mate, right? So this move here, right, by black, somebody got some brain fuel, thank you. Knight to d7, it reroutes, it stops the knight. Black prevents knight e5 and reroutes the knight to the queen side, where he intends to create or generate counterplay. Queen c2 from white, hitting h7. Here's a classic thematic move that you would see in the Caro-Kann many times, is bishop to g6. Very strong move, happens a lot. Yes, voluntarily doubles our pawns. We take towards the center. You could take away from the center, but taking away from the center damages the structure, makes this weak. Yes, you have an open file, but generally speaking, you in some trouble because this pawn kind of weak for no reason. So after bishop g6 takes, pawn takes, looks pretty nice. h4 from white, b5 from black with the minority attack following our plan. A takes, rook takes b5, and there it is. What does it say? Black had opened up the queen side, and white has no time to create serious threats on the king side. This is a common theme you would see. We're going to double the rooks over here on the b file, right? Maybe push the a pawn. We got squares, maybe even play e5 ourselves at the right moment, because you're going to isolate this pawn, so you need to be careful. But be careful there, right? Roger says, bro, I was watching yesterday's video on YouTube right now. Let's go. He's watching it right now. Wow. He's watching, you know, like your future self you're going to see on YouTube. I mean, that's crazy. Bronson, that's crazy right now. He's watching yesterday's video in his future self here on the show. I mean, it's just absolutely bananas right now. But this is program, you can use command Caro here, right? That one right there. You can get all the information you need. Right, H pawns are worth 0.69 centi pawn. Yes. So this is obviously the knight f3 version. You don't usually get this one a lot. The one that, or actually the second one that I want to cover here is not the knight f3 one, but the one that I used to play. In fact, I'm watching tomorrow's video tomorrow. This one right here. This one right here, I believe, is actually one of the fun ones. I used to play this a lot. Now, if you're on different levels, you will see, obviously, different things. But this one right here is one that is possible that you will see. You hate playing because there you go, man. All right, so you will see it. E4, C6, D4, D5, exchange variation once again. We capture back. Bishop D3, knight F6, totally the same thing. C3, knight C6, or sorry, bishop G4. And KYLO says I usually play F3, 92 and F3. Now, of course, 92 F3 is covered after the knight F3 one, but we're not covering that one. In fact, we're looking at the queen B3 one because that is more mainline. 92 isn't played as much. It is played, but not as much. So, guys, make sure you have your Caro book and you can get that yourself. And you can figure out what to do against 92 F3. It should be natural development anyway, though, but there are some nuances. Queen B3 is the one that is definitely the most testing. As we say, boom, here it goes. What does it say? With this move, white forces black to defend the B7 pawn. Right here, you better defend this pawn, big fella. You better defend it, right? White forces black to defend the B7 pawn and attempts to make use of black's unconventional development by creating immediate threats to black's position. Queen C7. Now, that one right there is definitely new because there's a queen D7 and there's a queen C8 that I am used to. Queen C7. I haven't seen as much. Queen D7 makes it easier for white as he can play bishop F4. That's exactly what I used to do as well. That's interesting. Queen C7 here. Wow. Queen C7. That is... Let me flip the board here. Oh, I have seen this. I have. And there's an H3, G4. So H3, he has to go back. Yeah, this one's really good for black too as well. Yeah, this is a very good line. So... This is very good. This is very good. And there's traps in here. And when we play H3, which is what's played right now, H3, you have to move the bishop not to H5, because if you go to H5, there's a trap from white that you lose a pawn on D5. So I think you have to go back. Let's see where he moves the bishop. D7, right. And it says bishop H5 has been tried before, but it says after G4, we move back. And after this, you lose the pawn, like I said, on D5. But it says things are unclear. But you did lose a pawn. You did lose a pawn. So, in fact, what he says is move the bishop back to D7. We don't have to worry about that weird pawn storm. Knight F3, natural development. We do the same. E6, get the bishop out. One thing about the Caro Kann that I actually do like is that I think this is probably... I don't remember ever probably facing a Caro Kann that development was an issue, right? And it's actually an opening that you develop quite quickly, right? You get pieces out for sure. But it's the question is, where's the light square bishop, like you would say, like you would see in the French. But here, this is easy. You got pieces out very quickly. What does this say? From white's perspective, the plan is to slow down black's counterplay, control the central squares. If he indeed is able to successfully contain black's activity, he will stand better. In particular, black's light square bishop will be passive, correct? Will be passive, whereas white's D3 bishop will exert unchallenged pressure on black's king side. Casting is for betas. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate it for the gifted sub over to KYLO. Look at that. KYLO, you got you a sub. See? All nice and talkative in the chat. New here. Got himself a sub. Look at that. Hey, look at him crying. He crying. Don't cry. You're crying. We're not crying. You're crying. All right. So good. Hey, casting is for betas. Thanks for that. Yo, rook to E1. Played after bishop to D6. We definitely need to get this king out of the center. You see a rook on the file. You see your king right here. Oh, yeah. We need to go now. Right. And of course he plays bishop to C6. Wow. Bruh. He played bishop to C6. Well, plus the S-Bam here too. Chess Von Doom, thanks for the tier 1, baby. Appreciate you. Said this is a key idea for the variation. Black wants to play knight b to D7. I'm telling you right now, I probably would have castled faster than anything you ever would have said. But it's good to see this right here in this book because bishop C6 is the move and then they want knight D7. Right. But apparently there's nothing we can do on the file right now. But be assured that this file, there is something going on. Queen to C2, really couldn't figure out anything. White relocates the queen because he knows you about to get out the way. Casting is for betas. Thanks for gifting, my guy. Another one over to Ozdan. Here we go. Knight b to D7. We develop once again. Queen E2, keeping it flexible. We could go to both sides of the board, and black chooses to go king side. King side here. Knight E5, definitely something we was looking at. Definitely something. Remember, we talked about you want to get this knight to e5. From white standpoint, they trying to attack. If I'm white here and I'm playing against the Caro Kann, this is exactly what I want. Knight e5, f4, get all the pieces to the king's side. Sack, sack, mate, have a nice day, right? That's what it says. You know, sack first, think later, like Grandfather Tao says. You know what I mean? So that's what we want. This knight gets to e5. Let's see how we handle it. So what it says here is bishop takes e5, right? He's not going to take it with the queen. Obviously, pawn takes, but now there's a pawn on e5. A little bit different. This position looks good, right? Exactly. This position looks good, casting gets ready. Yeah, you have to be careful. This is the problems in the Caro Kann, is sometimes you're gonna get your head cracked real quick because you're getting attacked. But this bishop on c6, so this quick little maneuver, let's go back a few moves right here. This maneuver, bishop d7 to c6. This right here is key because of what's about to happen later, right? Chess is thinking ahead how powerful this is. The bishop goes here to be able to put the knight on e4 when all this happens. So if we fast forward now, knight d7, queen e2, we get out the way, right? We take it, now we can go knight e4 with equality. It says black has given up his dark square bishop, but the e4 knight gives him a persistent initiative and prevents white from making any progress. If f3, because of course people want to kick the knight away, then you have this cool move here. Knight takes e5. Oh my goodness. This is a family channel. What is about to happen? I actually don't even know what is about to happen. So let's try to calculate. If he takes this knight, I do not know what this man is about to do. Okay, let's just see what happens because we got to see it. Black has excellent compensation after bishop, wait, hold on. What's the line? F takes e4. So you take on d3. Wow, you're just literally sacking a piece out here. Oh my goodness. Spinkers, spink back, spinkers again, and then check. And I guess what we're saying here is the fact that you have not developed. It's going to be hard to develop. Yes, I'm down a piece, but look at your king safety, and you haven't developed. The rest of the line goes like this with e5. Why did white need to take with the rook? Actually, good question. Let me go back. We'll look at that in a minute. And they have this. This is an unclear position, which is 100% unclear for reals. So you're saying right here after f3, you're saying why did he have to take with the rook? Oh, here. In fact, that's a great question. That's a great question. Like, why did he take with the rook? He really, why did he just rook? But the engine brings it up too. Rook takes c4. But queen e2. I mean, I guess he didn't like this. Weird, but that's a strange move. Rook takes e4. That is kind of strange, but I mean, I guess I probably wouldn't have went for this conversation. But there is, apparently there's some serious conversation there. There is some serious conversation there. That is crazy. That is wild. Sometimes you'll see that in Caro Kann, but sometimes you won't. Wow, like that's some serious conversation though. But after bishop to c2, in this position here, there's knight takes e5 again with the same idea. Yeah, the f5, f4 does look bad though, especially with the bishop on c6 defending d5 whiskey. That's gonna be scary for white. Never would have found it. Yeah, we never would have found it, right? Bishop, that's crazy. This is why you go through this book, so you can this stuff gives you the confidence to be able to play this in real life and be hitting people with spectacular stuff, and you'd be like, yeah, just another day in the park. You know what I'm saying? I was just on my book. I was reading my book. f6, knight d2. Queen b6, stepping out of the way. Have a nice day. We're not down any material. This looks beautiful. Knight takes, d takes e4. Bishop takes. Bro, look at this. Triple pawns. Yo, what a sight. And what does it say? Equals zeros right now. It's zeros. Zero. And you know what? Yeah, this is definitely ugly. But honestly, I like black's position. And the reason for this, let me turn the engine off, is I got pressure on f2. Yes, look, okay, I got triple pawns. Ain't no way around it. But you can't really hit him like that. Right? b2 hanging, f2 hanging. My next idea is rook lifting and tripling. I mean, this is ugly, but this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, maybe even e3, exactly. There's all kind of weird play with these triple pawns here. I mean, this is insane. Rook a to b1 and then rook f4. It says we have reached quite an artistic position. White 3 black pawns on the e-file. Objectively speaking, the game would simplify to an equal endgame very soon. But with the chat playing right now, oh, it ain't going to be equal at all. it ain't gonna be equal nothing with all who y'all about to be playing. We just talked about this, right? Rook F4, and we're gonna rook lift and bring the rook over here. And this is gonna be crazy. Good central control. Very nice, Ivan Funny. This is correct. And this right here, guys, of course, we're gonna conclude with part 4 today. We looked at Queen B3. We looked at a little bit of Bishop G4 in exchange, but make sure you guys are getting the book, and you guys can go through this on your own on parts that we did miss and etc. Then we're going to do part 5, which is the fantasy variation. People are really hype about that one, so make sure y'all come back for that one and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys on the next video.